So first let's make a platform. So we'll tap here in the scene menu, add, we'll make a cylinder. Okay, so now I'm just gonna use this node to bring it down to the red line. Bring this up a bit too. Let's use our gizmo. Let's just make it bigger. Maybe up to those bright white lines. And then let's shrink it. Perfect. So we want the top to line up with the red line. Let's tap these three dots. Let's change the post subdivision to 2. And then we'll hit validate. So now that we have the platform, we can get rid of the grid. And I'm actually going to save this view so that we can always come back to it. Let's hit the camera, add view, and we'll just change this to 1. I think this is going to be his rotund body, so let's tap the sphere and bring it up. Maybe something like that. I'll turn it to its side, the left side, and I'll just shrink it a little bit. So let's use the trim tool. So we use trim, and maybe we'll use line. I don't use line enough. So you just make a line so the white part is the part that'll get cut. So we'll just cut it like this, sort of like off center. Something like that. So let's add another sphere. We can go ahead and validate it. Let's use the gizmo. So we'll just move it up and shrink it right to about pelvis-ish area. Pelvis-ish. We'll turn it to the side and then we'll go like that. Like so. Maybe we'll use the move tool. Actually whatever. We'll use the move tool. Let's hit front and symmetry's on. So we'll just kind of go like this a little bit. Yeah. Maybe move the back a little bit. Okay, so let's label these so we don't get lost. Cat is so excited about my shoebox. You having a good time? So let's use 2 cylinders for the thighs. So we'll go to scene, add, cylinder. And now we want to use the gizmo. So we'll bring it up. We'll shrink it with this orange ring. We can move it down and over. And we'll shrink it again. And now let's just stretch it. So maybe something like that. You can adjust the size as you like. So now let's go ahead and mirror, and then we can validate. So now we need the lower part of the legs. So let's add a box. We'll use our gizmo. And we'll just shrink it. And then move it over with the red arrow. Now what happened is we added the box and it went into the cylinder mirror. So that's why there's 2 of them. You can go to the scene and you can see that it's inside this mirror. So let's just long press it and bring it out. And now it's just a regular box. So move it up a little bit. Let's tap these 3 dots. I want to make it more round. So we'll just put the subdivision up to 2 and then lower this division to maybe around 4, maybe even 3. Okay, it looks good. So now we can go ahead and mirror it, and let's just go ahead and validate it. So now we need some arms. So we might be able to reuse the thighs. So we'll tap here for this mirror. So let's name it so we don't get confused. We can go ahead and clone it. So now we have two. The mirrors, the red part is what you want to name. So we'll name one of them legs or thighs. And then we'll tap on mirror number 2, the red part, the 3 little dots, and we'll name that arms. So now that we're on the arms cylinder, let's move it up and over with the red arrow. I think I want to make it a little smaller. So then you can adjust the position how you want. I think I want it maybe around here. Okay. And now we need something for forearms, but let's go ahead and clone this cylinder so it'll stay within the arm, but now we have another clone here. So we can drop that down. Maybe we'll make it really big, but we'll shrink it. So it'll be something like this. And maybe we want to rotate it a little bit with one of those rings. So we can do that. Looks pretty good. I like it. And another thing we can do is rotate these. We can rotate those so it looks like it's actually coming out of the body. Like that. So now for the head, let's add a cylinder. And again, you want to be careful where you add the shape, because you can see our cylinder went into the arms mirror. So we'll just long press it, bring it all the way up. And let's rename it head. And since it's the head, we'll use our gizmo. We'll tap the little hidden gizmo there. We'll bring it all the way up. And we'll shrink it. I don't know how big I want the head to be. Well, this looks kind of fun. So maybe something like this. I like it. I'll shrink it a little bit. And maybe, so we have the head, maybe we'll clone it and we can make like the top part of the head be a little bit bigger. Maybe we'll move it forward. Actually, maybe we'll move it. Maybe we'll make it a little bit bigger. And move it back. It's kind of interesting. Okay. I like that. So it's a very interesting shape. So I just want to bring everything up so the feet are aligned with the top of the platform. So let's find the platform, which I think is cylinder. Let's rename it FLR. And then we'll select everything and just move it up a smidge. Whoop. Everything except the floor. Okay. We'll do a quick save. Name him Rocky. So let's put some little things on the top of the head or helmet. We'll add a box. And we'll use our gizmo. Let's use this little hidden gizmo here. We'll bring this up. And shrink it. Stretch it a little bit. So we'll bring it down somewhere like there. I think that looks pretty good. So now let me squish it a little bit more. So now I want to make this a radial. So I kind of want to do one where these go around the head, and maybe just two. So, okay, so first let's just do two of them. So I'll move it over, hit mirror, and then bring it up to the top. So now we just have these two little funny looking thingies. Maybe I'll use this green ring to kind of open them up a little bit. Another thing you can do is you can validate, hit move, make the move tool pretty big, make sure symmetry's on, and just pick one of them, and you can just kind of push it out. That'll give it a little bit of a curve. You might have to rotate it again so that they're kind of along the edge. So that's the first thing I wanted to try. There was something else though. So if we have just the single cube up top, so we have this box here, we can add a radial. So we'll add radial, and then we want to go to the box. So I want to make it a little less boxy. So let's tap these three dots, and let's put the subdivision up to 2. And let's lower the topology. We'll lower the topology to about 5. So post subdivision 2, box topology 5. Okay. So you want to make sure that you're on the actual box. And you want to take the arrow and just move it out, and you'll see that there's 4 of them. So when you go back to the radial, which is what this box is now a part of, this number here is the amount. So you can raise this to maybe 5. And the only thing that you'd want to do is move this kind of so it's in the center. Remember, we moved to the top of that head. So we can just go to the actual radial and not the box. So the radial as a whole, and then you can kind of just move this freely. So now we want to validate the shape and not the whole mirror yet. So go into your scene, go to the box. We want to validate the box. So then we can use move. And then we can just kind of push it a little bit. So it's a little bit. Push it on the bottom a little bit. So I'm just pushing it so it's a little bit more of a curve. So now I'm just going to use the arrow and bring it in. If you need to make any more adjustments, you can. So on the top view, I'm going to go ahead and go to the radial and just shrink it a bit. Okay, that looks pretty even. So now we have an interesting top, and you can play around a lot with that, but I think that's fun. So I'm going to hit validate, and yes. So let's use some boxes to make some fingers. So we go here, add, we'll add a box, and let's go ahead and change the topology to that more smooth box first. So we'll bring this down to 5. And then we'll put the post subdivision up to maybe 3. So we'll use the gizmo. Let's bring it over to one side, shrink it. Then we can put it kind of near where it has to be. Put this in the middle. So we'll look at it on the left side. So I'll move it out, and maybe I want it a little bit longer. We'll flatten it a little bit like this. A little bit smaller. So I think that looks pretty good. So now we'll just tilt it so it's going in the same direction as the forearm. And we can actually tilt it. Actually, I think that's pretty good. So you notice your gizmo might look a little different. Depends on if you have it on a line or not. I'm going to keep mine off. Okay, so let's just validate this. So now we have our finger. Let's rename it. And then let's clone. And let's just slide this off right next to it. Like so. We can clone again. And then we'll put one on this side, which will be like the thumb. So we'll just kind of maneuver it so it's something like this. And you can rotate them so that they make sense. So I'll put the thumb like that. Maybe I'll put the thumb like this. And then these two, I'm just going to rotate. I just want to rotate a little bit. Something like that. I think that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to take all of these fingers and join them, add a mirror. So now they're on the other side as well. Okay, so let's rename the mirror part fingers. This mesh, let's rename this body. The head we can validate. The radial, oh, I think that's a little rook type top of the head. So we'll just rename that rook. The head we can validate. And you just want to go through and make sure everything is labeled. This will be pelvis. This mirror is low legs. Another last thing is, remember when we added this shape? You'll notice that it's a bit out of whack now. So let's just reposition it to a nice position, sort of in the middle. I'll hit front, and then go back there and just hit this little arrow, and it'll update it. All right, we'll do a quick save. So let's make some little toes on him. So I'm going to turn it to the left, and we'll use these little squares, these little boxes, low legs. Let's go ahead and clone the whole thing. So now we have another one. Let's rename it toes. So now we'll go to the box. So now we can move them up. Make them smaller, I think. Maybe a little bit wider. So I want to move them down and maybe invert them a little bit. Not invert them, but maybe something like that. I like that. I like that. So I'm going to use trim. We'll move this up and use rectangle. And we just want to trim the piece that's below. See how that box is below this? So we want to use this as a guide. we'll just trim right below it. Okay, looks good. Okay. And of course, while you're doing this, feel free to put other details in. You do not have to do everything the way that I'm doing it. Some other things that you could do is, for example, we'll take move on the body, and you can change the body shape to be something like that. You can bring the body out. You can make like interesting, just by like sort of playing around and having fun with it. So just remember that you don't have to do everything exactly how I'm doing it. Just have fun, experiment, and that's really a great way to continue to learn. So I think we should figure out the face. I have no idea what I'm going to do, but it's going to be fun. Okay, so the first thing I thought of that I want to do is just switch to the right side. I want to take this lower jaw and make that an actual lower jaw. So see this red ring? We're just going to rotate it like this and then make it smaller like that. We can bring it down. So maybe something like that. Make it a little wider. So now I want to add two little tooth-like things. So we'll add a box. We'll use this little hidden gizmo. We'll move it up. We'll move it out. We'll shrink. We want to flatten it some. Maybe move it up a little bit. So we'll go back to the front. And let's bring back our little tools here. So we haven't validated it, so let's just press the 3 dots, bring the subdivision down to 5, and bring this to 2. Okay, if we zoom in, then we can kind of see our little tooth. We can make it a little bigger maybe. So let's hit mirror, and then we separate them. And we can kind of put them wherever we want. So I'm thinking something like this. I think I like them a little further apart. Okay. So next we need to add some sort of eyes, and this is what I'm thinking. So let's go ahead and name this teeth. Okay, we can go ahead and validate. Let's validate the box, the actual teeth. Okay, so now let's add a cylinder. We'll tap head, and then we'll add cylinder. And let's use our little gizmo, little hidden gizmo. We'll move it up. And we'll move it out. And we want to bring it so it's 90 degrees. So we'll use snap over here, 90. And then the red ring. Boom. Shrink it. Let's go back to the front. And then we can mirror it. So we'll hit mirror, and we'll bring it out this way. So now we can bring them back into the face. I do like that. And what I actually want is to carve a hole using a Boolean. So what we'll do is, so these can be our eye pegs. We'll take this and clone the whole thing. And this can be our IX, because we're going to cut it. So we want to go to the cylinder of IX and make it a little bit bigger. Okay. And maybe we'll push it in a little bit. Maybe to around there. Actually, that looks kind of cool. So I actually like this, so I'm going to take this and clone it. So now we have IX1. So I'm actually just going to hide it. And before I hide it, let's rename it so I don't get confused. Let's just name it IPEG B. And I'll change this one to IPEG A. Okay, so I want to make sure I hide IPEG B. So now with this one, let's go ahead and validate and join children. Do a quick save. So now we have the eye and the head. So I'm going to tap head. I'm going to hide the IX. You can see it's like a ghost. Like a ghost there. And then we go, so Boolean has moved from here to in the scene menu. So now we can just hit Boolean because we have the head selected and we have the IX selected, but the eye is hidden. So if we hit Boolean, then, oh, you know what? I think I might have had the wrong shape. Let's see. Yep, so I had the wrong one. So to prevent that, I'm going to rename this lower jaw. And the head, let's bring the head up. Okay, so now we have the IX and we have the regular head. So the problem is if we try to Boolean these, there's not enough geometry for it to look clean. So if we try to do it now, it's just going to look really bad. So Boolean and Boolean. So it looks really bad. So how we can help this situation is to take this cylinder and, you know what, let's take this and take the rook, these parts that are connected to it, let's voxel remesh them together. Probably do around 175. Okay, so now that's voxel remesh together. And you can see this is a much bigger now. So let's take the IX, and let's turn smooth shading off. So we'll tap here, we'll turn smooth shading off, and you can see it's not trying to smooth it. So this is what the cylinder actually looks like. The rook is now the head, so let's move that up and rename it head. So now we have the head and the IX, which has smooth shading turned off. So we'll hide that, and now we'll do Boolean, Boolean. And now you see it's much, much cleaner. So let's go ahead and unhide Peg B, because I like that. And since we made those cuts, if we tap on here and we tap smooth, I'm going to make smooth really big. Make sure you're using symmetry, and let's just smooth this out. So we'll just smooth out this whole head. Get it look like one solid, nice looking piece. Smooth out those eye sockets. So now we have something like this, which looks like a proper eye socket. Now, I don't know how deep I want these pieces. I feel like maybe put them in. I can move these in a little bit. But I kind of like it. I'm going to move the mesh up and just rename it head. Do a quick save. I just want to make sure I'm renaming things that I'm changing and moving around. What was this? Oh, that was that. We'll keep it hidden for now. Adding box. And we'll do the same thing we always do. Let's put subdivision 2 and put this to 4. What does that look like? It's not bad. We'll use the little hidden gizmo. We'll move this out the back. What if he has like a backpack? That'd be kind of cool, right? I think it'd be kind of cool. So let's play around with this while we have it. This is going to be backpack. Let's clone it. And let's make a little one that would like actually be connected to the back of him, because there's some space there. So we'll put it right under his head. And let's add another box. In this box, let's turn smooth shading off. So we go down here to smooth shading and turn it off. It should look sharp. We'll go to the hidden gizmo. We'll move it up and to the left. And then we'll just shrink it. And we'll move it into the backpack. Shrink it with the blue node and we'll put it right in there. It's a little hard to see. So we'll do something like that. And then we can use tube. Let's mirror it and validate it. And this can be BP buckle. All right. Let's use the tube path. And let's tap on the sphere. We can try snap. So I'm going to start here, drag. So we just drag it and then just go somewhere else and then tap. And then maybe another one here. And let's hit this. All right, so now I want to hit mirror because I want them to connect. And I think that's the only way I can get them to connect. So let's separate these so they're coming to the front. I'm going to add some geometry here. So I'm just going to tap and it'll add nodes. Let me go back to my here. So I just want to bring, I probably don't need that many. I just want to have them be under the chin, like that. Oh, maybe we hit closed. What if I hit no, I need both of them. And I can't do closed. So mirrors it. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. And I don't want it to be a wire, I want it to be flat. So we'll take profile, and we want to tap on this profile thing, and we want it to be flat. Oh, that's the wrong way. So we can push this all the way out, but we want to bring it closer, bring these together, maybe a little bit more out, like so. It's perfect. But we need to put it a little bit more away from the body. Let's tap snap so we don't have to worry about it. And with these little nodes, let's just move them out. I think that works. Okay, and now we need to twist this end. So let's hit twist twice. Hey, let's try all of them. I like that they did away with the 1, 2, 3 thing. They kind of just made it so you tap it again. I like that better. So now I'm going to twist this. I need to bring this point in a little bit more. Perfect. And I just want to twist it so it looks like it's going straight in. This corner one, I might want to twist it so, yeah, something like that. So now I'm going to validate, and then I'm going to go to the whole mirror and validate that as well. So now this is going to be BP strap. One thing I want to do real quick is just take these, the cylinders for the forearms and actually the fingers and the fingers as well, and just use Gizmo and just move them over a bit. We'll take the cylinder for the arms and then just use, oh, we can't use move. There we go. So we use move, and I'm just going to kind of push it a little bit and bend it a little bit. That way the thumbs aren't going into the legs. You know what? I think I might want to add a sphere. You can add a sphere here to kind of be like a shoulder. Let's just do that really quick. So we can put it in arms. So we'll just add a sphere. Gizmo. So we'll move it up, over, and then shrink. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Something like that. I like it. Picasso. So let's do something cool on the backpack. Okay, so we'll select the backpack. Let's validate it. And then let's go here, multi-res. Let's subdivide it twice. So I think I just want to make like an indentation line. So let's use select mask. And let's use rectangle. And let's make a line across like this. Just make that really thin line there. So I think maybe I'll use cylinder. We'll use the gizmo. Move it back, up. It's kind of an interesting shape. Mirror. Make it a little more round like that. Yeah, we'll validate. We'll rename this backpack Deets. Take the cylinder and clone it. Maybe we'll make like a secondary piece or something. This is when it gets really fun because you can just like add like little pieces that just make it look interesting. And let's switch from Metcap to Lit PBR. I'm going to grab everything, including the floor, and just make it gray. So we tap here, just make it like a gray color. So we'll do something like this. So now it's a neutral color, so we can go ahead and let's go to this little sun and turn all the lights off. And we'll add our first light. We'll bring this up to 2. Of course, key, you can clone it, and this one can be rim. I always do my lights the same pretty much. I'm going to clone this one and just name it R2, and then add another light. Change it to a, ooh, why can't I change it? That's interesting. Can I change it here? I don't even know what an environment light is, but we'll change it to a spotlight and rename it TD. Okay, so we'll just hide these so we can go one by one. So rim light, we'll turn that on, we'll move it over, and we'll just spin it back towards him. Sort of like that. And you can adjust it, however you'd like. Okay, R2, turn that on, and this one can just kind of be another light source coming from this side. Turn it down some, maybe color it blue. Okay, and now we have TD. You can turn that on, and can't even really see it yet. Oh, there it is. Move it to the front, then we'll move it up, pointing on his head. And that'll be a nice little light. Let's turn this down so it's not so bright. Oh, sometimes I change the rim light to a warm light. Once I do finish this, I'm going to go back to all these pieces. For example, the head is 165, and you can do things like decimate. So if I tap here, miscellaneous, you can decimate. I'm going to do a quick save. You can decimate to get from 165 to 82 and so on, and it still looks pretty good. So I'm going to go through on some of these other pieces, kind of do the same thing, lower the size, and after that you can color it and you're pretty much done. Just in case you don't know how to export, you want to go into this little shutter, you want to turn the quality up, post-process, you want to turn that on. You can play with these little bells and whistles. You can go here and you can export your render, and I'll just do transparent background and screen. But that's pretty much it. Have fun with it. I just wanted to go over some things for 1.86, which I didn't even realize that it had updated. But yeah, there you go. Appreciate you joining me. This, as always, I'm going to put on my Patreon. And then if you also want to support, check out my Skillshare classes. Keep drawing, keep sculpting. I'll see you all in the next video.